Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the exclusive WWE podcast with Penta and John Cena. You can't see me.
Zero Miro.
Just kidding, it's us here down under the mat. This is Mr. Dan Danielson. I'm Rowdy Roddy Reece. John Cena made a very brief appearance on our podcast, so you can tell that we are a very reputable podcast here in Madison Square Garage.
Shelling out the big bucks for the superstars.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All big bucks, all big bucks. We're going to jump right into it because this has been a hell of a week and there's been a lot of stuff that we need to cover. So forgive us if we run maybe a little bit over time. We're going to try to keep it under that 1 hour mark, but we're going to kick it off. The dream has been realized. CM Punk is confirmed main eventing WrestleMania.
And the best part of that,
We don't know which night.
it's not the FAVOUR.
It's not the FAVOUR. That is the
that's
key piece of
best
information here. Thank God it's not the FAVOUR. They
But we
just
finished
wasted on that.
We finished watching SmackDown, and Reece was like, "Well, that's cool. At least we know what the night one main event is." And I said, "You sure?"
Is it?
Because at no point did they say what night. They have just said it will main event WrestleMania.
Well, they're putting that out into the atmosphere.
Could it close night two?
That is those three competitors, and the fact that this is CM Punk's first ever WrestleMania main event.
And he did up. We got emotional.
He did.
Phil was loving it, like the fact that he's finally getting his
Crowds
dream.
chanting, "You deserve it," which he rightfully does as well.
Heyman loved it.
Regardless of, that's a really key point as well. Heyman gave him a little kiss on the forehead, was like right up next to him. And he's like, "Your main event, you are closing WrestleMania." He's right there. All thanks to the tribal chief.
We've got to acknowledge Roman.
We have to acknowledge Roman Reigns. He has done an immense part in securing this deal for CM Punk.
What I love so far about this, the setup of this triple threat match, has been the way that all three of them are baby faces. All three of them are supported heavily by the crowd, but yet all three of them are heels to each other in one way or another. So you've obviously got Roman on this contract signing, sitting at the table.
At the head of the table.
At the head of the table.
Like he always does.
But he was playing what you would classify, I guess, as the standard heel here, right?
Yeah.
You all need to acknowledge me. This is all because of me. I've done all of this for you. You know, give me my props. And, you know, he makes Punk get down and say thank you and acknowledge him and all that
Which he
stuff. So
does.
that is Roman playing the heel, right?
Yeah.
But then you have Seth talking the heel in the fact of saying that you didn't let me end Punk. You, Roman, you cost me. I had him at the Garden. I could have finished him. And then when Punk comes out, you don't deserve this main event match. None of you deserve him to main event this match. Seth is talking like the heel. So is Seth going to be the heel in the match, or is Roman going to be the heel? Because it's not Punk.
No. Punk's the absolute babyface in this scenario.
And I think...
Except for the Punk haters. People love to hate on CM Punk.
You mean the AEW fans?
Well, no, actual AEW fans can hate them. They have a somewhat valid reason for hating him. But WWE fans do hate him as well. I know of a select few.
Yeah, he waited 10 years for him to come back and get this moment.
More so because he's taking the spotlight after coming back from people who have put in the hard yards to get the spotlight. CM Punk comes back and gets it immediately. But he's that sort of caliber of a star.
I think you said earlier that the crowd was chanting, "You deserve it," chance. I think he deserves it.
He does.
But that's why I really love the setup of this match, right? A lot of people thought it was just kind of all jammed together because you couldn't really get a one-on-one match with all of them, and like, they weren't going for titles. But the way that they're putting each of the characters against each other, Punk helped Roman in War Games, but now Punk has the favor against Roman. Roman wants Punk to acknowledge him, but Punk is still a bit of a smart-ass to him and doesn't quite do it.
Yeah.
Roman and Seth, 12 years of history. We landed on top of the O2 12 years ago in a helicopter. You know, we were the Shield. We wanted to burn this whole place down together, and look what we've done. And then Roman saying, you know, what do you mean what we've done?
It's what I did.
But then, again, rightfully, Seth saying, but I've had to clean up after you for years. So
here
there's
he is cleaning
that.
up to him again.
You then got Punk and Seth, who just genuinely don't like each other, everything they feuded through, the whole point you're saying about coming and stealing someone's spotlight.
Yeah.
You've got that whole story. You've got the point of Punk was the one who brought the Shield in to WWE, which was Roman and Seth. There is so much detail. You've got Paul Heyman as the wise man. Punk is one of the first Paul Heyman guys. Like, all of these different things make this so detailed, and the way that there's so much different story in every different segment that they do, I can imagine. I mean, I've watched some of the YouTube stuff with Seth talking about his WrestleMania outfits and his favorite wrestling outfits, and how every little bits of his thing ties into his feuds. He talked about the polka dots where he had the cage match with Cody.
I wonder what's going to happen at WrestleMania.
What's he going to dress as? How is he going to tie that into, what he wears?
Is he just coming out to Shield music again? Oh, I'd pop so hard for that.
Oh, absolutely. But there's so much story here. And we've seen, 2 weeks now or 3 weeks of them like interacting with each other. Where we've got 3 or 4 weeks to go.
Yeah.
There's still way more for this story to go. And
we are 22 days away from WrestleMania.
22 days out. So we've got, they'll be at the Raw in London in the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
SmackDown next week's in Chicago. Guess who's going to be on that show? So I think we're going to have a really strong couple of weeks of these guys building. And like we said on the podcast the other week, like it's all going to build up until we get a big face-to-face of all of them.
Yeah.
And probably a big brawl on the go-home show.
Yeah.
This is just, it's really great, detailed storyline telling throughout all of it.
Yeah.
And no moment is missed. You look at when Punk had his little thing on Raw, which wasn't a lot because the other guys weren't there. But again, he dropped this sort of premise of, I still work with children and, you two adults are going to look up to me. And again, maybe, slight shots at AEW there, which is fine. But again, making the point that at no point have Seth or Roman beat him without each other.
The other help. Yeah.
So that sort of ties into it. You have him walking in, again, another jab at AEW, I assume, on SmackDown with Drew McIntyre through a car windscreen, looking at it going, real glass, and keeps walking. Everything that they're doing is a callback to something or a point that they're going to draw back on later. And that is why these guys are so good and why this story is just, it is going to main event one night of WrestleMania.
Very exciting stuff.
One night.
One night. Very exciting stuff. We're going to pivot to another triple threat, and then we'll touch on our special guest that started at the show, John Cena. The Women's World Heavyweight Championship scene on Raw is heating up in a very interesting way. We have Rhea versus Io for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, scheduled for Raw, with Bianca Belair as the special guest referee. I don't think I would have expected this had you mentioned this match could potentially happen 3 weeks ago in the lead up to WrestleMania. I don't know how to take it. I feel like it's just them trying to delay just announcing it as a triple threat. Because I feel like it's not going to end clean.
Yes.
All women are going to get at each other, and then it'll be like, fine, you still can't be cohesive. Bianca, you can't call it down the middle. Triple threat WrestleMania. Now you've got no choice.
Yep, absolutely.
And I don't see why they don't just do that to begin with instead of inserting this cannon fodder just to take up another week of TV.
They're teasing it out. Like, this is also the problem that you've got, because I saw on my Facebook memories from like 10 years ago, whatever it was, that this weekend, end of March, was WrestleMania. Whereas now it's the 20th of April, so it's still 3 weeks away. Like we said, you've got 3 extra weeks of TV that you have to put stuff on. So I think that when they normally do the plan, the build of Rumble 3 weeks, Chamber 4 weeks, Mania,
we've now got an extra couple of weeks on top of that.
Correct.
Which means extra storylines. Something has to happen to fill that time period.
Yeah, it has to get dragged out a bit. And I think that what they're trying to tell in this is that, I don't think Rhea can beat Io, and I hope that they keep that story going.
I really do. Because
if Rhea beats Io on a Raw, look, admittedly it's a Raw at the O2 in London, but if Rhea just breaks this streak of always losing to Io over years across brands on a Raw...
Yeah, it's not going to have the same impact if, say, she actually pinned Io at WrestleMania to regain her championship.
Correct. And then the other point I think that they're telling in this story is Adam Pearce is losing control.
Absolutely.
He's losing control of the women, specifically. He doesn't know what he's doing. Why would you book Bianca as a special guest referee? Especially when Bianca's in there saying, I don't even know how to referee. But he's made his choice and he's doing it. I think that they're trying to play on the fact that Adam Pearce is losing control of that Raw locker room. I think maybe some other stories will get involved with the tag teams and things like that, and like the New Day will start pressuring because Adam Pearce will just give them what he wants because he can't deal with it anymore. And I think there'll be maybe a post-Mania angle will be somebody, I don't know who, comes in and just says, look, you're not running the show properly. I'll take it over. And then maybe that leads, maybe it's Nick Aldis and he comes over and says, I'll do both shows.
Well, like Adam Pearce was running both shows, and that's why they brought Nick Aldis along to help alleviate that stress and pressure from Adam Pearce.
Yeah, well, and
but
Pearce,
he still can't handle running one show.
Because he needs more drinks. Every time someone, I need a drink. And he's gotten rid of Chelsea Green, who was his biggest problem.
And no more Constable Corbin around.
Or
just like pivot him back into that sort of scenario.
What's her face?
Sonia
Deville. Yep. But yeah, I think that this, like you said, this definitely leads to the triple threat. Yeah. It is delaying the inevitable, I think, from what we all thought. But I think it's putting enough seeds in there that you have now a bit of doubt about the match. We all would have assumed come Chamber, 5 weeks ago, Rhea was going to Mania as champion, was going to retain.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I don't know.
I still really enjoyed that swerve of EO winning and keeping that streak over Rhea, because next to no one expected EO to overcome Rhea in that match. So it inserted a bit of that doubt in the run to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I love that the crowd reactions again. Europe, you are phenomenal. You're amazing. Glasgow was fantastic on Raw. London was great.
SmackDown was amazing.
The fact that EO is just getting pure babyface cheers. Doesn't matter if she's talking about Bianca or Rhea or anyone or Pierce or whoever, she's just getting cheered. And the way that she's so proud to be the women's world champion and she keeps holding the title up and stuff. Like, she is pure babyface, and I love it right now. Because Rhea is, like we said before, on edge and sort of inserting herself into this and going things about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
The second her music hits, the crowd pops hard.
As you mentioned last week, it's still mammoth responses for Rhea as well.
Absolutely. And I think this will be huge come Mania with all three of them. It'll probably be one of the best matches on the entire weekend. It's
going to be one hell of a WrestleMania match.
I don't think EO wins. Because we've talked about...
That's really unfortunate, because I said when she won the title, I hope she's not just going to be a transitional champion.
But we've also said on here that we want more title changes. We want more shock and awe in the wrestling.
Well, yes, but Rhea held that championship for mere weeks before EO dethroned her.
That's true.
So I feel like that's enough. But then doing the same to EO, and then having her drop it back to Rhea or potentially to Bianca and continuing her WrestleMania undefeated streak.
Who knows? Two very good triple threat matches. We will wait to see.
Let's touch on the man himself, John Cena, and that phenomenal promo once again to open Monday Night Raw. John Cena is going to ruin wrestling for everyone. He's going after 17, and he's going to retire with 17 as the last real world champion.
There's so many good little bits out of this promo to take out of it. I also like that it was about 10 minutes shorter than it was the week before.
Yes. Yeah.
Much more digestible.
Yeah. He just came out and it was straight to the point.
I loved the way that he manipulated the crowd into doing exactly what he wanted. And it was the same as last week when they started, chanting at him and stuff. He said, "You're making this too easy for me." Yeah. This week, Glasgow was doing the same thing. They started swearing, "F you Cena" chants. And he said, "This is all you've got. Your vulgar words. And, you've got nothing that you can say against me." And they start chanting, and then he keeps talking, and then he keeps talking. And when I talk in rhythmic tones, you chant "what?" as the crowd was wadding him.
Yeah.
Perfect. He's so smart to know exactly what he has to do to get the crowd to do what he wants.
Yeah.
And everything that he wanted to do, they're in the palm of his hand. And it is working perfectly. The fact that I loved on this promo where he was talking about how, I kept winning and winning, it was never good enough for you. And then I got what you wanted and I turned into that spinner belt.
Yeah.
And how everybody hated it. Is this now John Cena and WWE finally coming out saying in canon that the spinner title belt sucks?
Well, I think whether it was... I'm going to try and pretend that I'm part of the business. And
okay, please do.
The point about making that point specifically, I feel like maybe Triple H, because Triple H never liked that spinner belt. And maybe now that Triple H is in charge...
But it was John Cena's greatest idea.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think about. Is that potentially Triple H working his agenda into what he wants John Cena to say and put out there into the stratosphere.
Maybe. Or is it them all just going...
Because let's be real.
Yeah.
When we were younger and John Cena brought out that Spinner Championship, the United States first and then the WWE one, coolest thing ever.
But can we... No,
coolest thing ever.
can we agree that the US title spinner belt
Was better.
was good? I like that. Yeah. That was fine. Don't do it to the heavyweight, like WWE.
Yeah, and like,
that was the one that was like, ugh.
Having him have that for his first championship run, that would have been fine.
But also
the fact that they kept that belt for, 10 years nearly?
And when others had it. The Miz had the spinner belt. Edge.
Randy Orton. Edge. Triple H. Batista had it. Like...
It should have been a John Cena championship.
Does not fit those guys.
Correct. Absolutely. So, yeah, I love that he's calling back to all these things that at the time kids cheered him for, but now those kids hate because those kids are now adults. And like he's playing on that audience. And we've said this before, and I think this week kind of was the same in that it's John Cena against the WWE Universe right now. It's still not John Cena versus Cody Rhodes.
And this is one thing I do want to bring up regarding this because it's now 2 weeks in a row. We've had an amazing John Cena promo. Cody comes out to slap him down and knock him around a little bit, but John Cena has not retorted yet. And we've got another confirmed face-to-face on Raw. And if we do not get the old, that's a fine speech line from John Cena, and we do not have Cody ripped to shreds in the ring, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
Well, this is meant to be his last advertised appearance.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's 2 weeks leading up to WrestleMania. We're not going to see John Cena. It's just going to be Cody. Is that where The Rock potentially gets worked back into this a little bit?
That's the other guy.
Like, how do you patch that 2 weeks of TV without John Cena and without Cody having someone to throw jabs with?
Well, you've had, like we said at the start, it was kind of the first promo was John Cena against the crowd. This is why I hate you.
Yeah.
This week was more, this is why I hate you and this is what it's going to do to you.
Yeah.
And we want next week to be, and this is why I need to beat Cody Rhodes and walk out with that title belt. Yeah. Because you need that story to go all the way to Cody.
Whole picture.
Because at the moment, as good as John Cena's promos have been, nobody, him or Cody, have mentioned The Rock. So nobody has mentioned why he's turned, why he sold his soul, nothing about Travis Scott. Nothing. I mean, I know he's probably not actually part of the story, but like you can't not comment on the fact that the biggest heel turn in the last 25 years of professional wrestling had The Rock and Travis Scott in the ring, and since then no one has said a word about them.
No.
So that has to be addressed, right? You then also kind of have to address what then happens between now and Mania. Like, especially for Cody, because Cody can't keep coming out saying, I'll defend the WWE Universe, I am your guy, I will beat John Cena.
But, like, look at the reactions he's getting. Even more so now that Cena's turned heel. He's gone from this level to this level, and they're trying to propel him to this level. You can't even see it on the screen.
That's how high it is. You saw that on the start of SmackDown, right? You saw Randy Orton come out and essentially just blow hot air up Cody's ass for 10 minutes saying how great
you've been better than me than I ever was in my career. Like, flattering, buttering Cody up, but in no way, shape, or form has Cody outdone anything that Randy has.
No, but I think Cody is a bigger and wider baby face than Randy ever was.
Yeah, yeah. In that aspect and, like, drawing potential new eyes to the product, I can agree on that side of it, but in-ring accomplishments in the wrestling world
I
pales
think
in comparison.
On Monday, on Raw, in London, we need Cena and Cody face to face. We need somebody to acknowledge The Rock and how he fits. If The Rock is on that show, even better. Because
could you imagine? But I pop so hard.
But could you, like, when you saw Elimination Chamber and you saw the Rock and Cena and Cody in that ring, could you then think, we don't need to see that again until night 2 of WrestleMania?
No.
Of course not.
No. You need it brought up. You need it talked about.
And is this...
So far, it's just been John Cena turned heel.
Yes.
Not John Cena turned heel to do X, Y, Z for The Rock.
Yep. And I mean, is this because, you know, everything The Rock does is like on the seat of his pants? He doesn't really know what he was doing.
20 steps ahead.
He couldn't plan himself to be in London.
Yeah, he's planning 20 steps ahead, but he's got to fill in the gap.
Yeah. So that, I think, is one of the main things that has to be addressed. And I definitely agree with you in that Cody has to put it on his babyface promo. He has to tell everyone why he's doing
He
it.
needs to get knocked down, dude.
Cena needs to slap him down.
And that's why that's a fine speech. We all know when John Cena says that, someone's about to get absolutely trashed. And I can't wait for it. It needs to happen because Cody at the moment is just, he keeps going up and up and up, and he can't keep going on that upward trajectory to then he walks into WrestleMania with 1,000% confidence. I can beat this John Cena because he's not the John Cena that's on that shirt. We need to have him knock down a peg, get some doubt in there that he can't actually beat John Cena.
Can I pitch a bit of a storyline to you?
Go for it.
So we both are in the agreement that John Cena has to win this 17th at WrestleMania. Right now, start of the year, we didn't want it, but he's turned heel. Everything's changed.
Different story now.
I love the line that he says that, I'm going to win my 17th. So you can all forget the name of the woo flamboyant Ric Flair.
And Ric Flair's confirmed he's going to be at WrestleMania 41. And I'm just so scared he's going to get involved in that match.
Yeah, but if you give me a 78-year-old Ric Flair,
if he gets
broken in half by an AA,
let's just call it the FU. He's a heel now.
Oh, can he call it FU again?
If Ric Flair gets an FU,
yes,
I will cheer. But that is the only way that I want him to interact with that match.
I reckon Ric Flair is dumb enough to take like a an FU onto the announce table bump.
Oh, absolutely.
On the outside of a match. Because
mate, he can still have another match. If he can have another match, he can take a bump on an announce
absolutely.
table.
But let's see if that happens. But we're both in agreement that Cena wins the 17th.
Yes.
Because we both are a bit stale on Cody. On his title run. Look, he's propelling into the moon.
Absolutely. But can you imagine he loses that title? The road back to that title, it's gonna put him even higher in that stratosphere.
But in the meantime, between that chase, Cody's got to go off and be injured or have a feud with somebody else, be it Randy Orton, I don't know. But let's give Cody a bit of space.
Breathing time.
Cena has the WWE Championship that he won at WrestleMania. He then needs to defend it in the upcoming pay-per-views. He can verse, I don't care, Backlash, whoever.
SummerSlam.
The one I want to talk about. It's a couple of months after WrestleMania. It's this lovely little pay-per-view. It's called Money in the Bank.
Oh, we're going to revisit it, aren't we? Aren't we?
What if CM Punk calls in his favour?
No.
No, he just earns it just somehow?
He earns it.
Okay.
Like we've said, Heyman plans years in advance. That favour is still too fresh to come into play this year.
Can you imagine
continue
a heel John Cena versus a face CM Punk closing out Money in the Bank
in the same way
14 years later or something it will be,
paralleled.
But John Cena blows the kiss
and
walks out through
poetry
the crowd.
in motion.
Could you imagine?
Oh, that would be something.
I can see him doing it.
Could you imagine him doing that in his last ever match if he's still heel by the end of the year?
Nah, there's no way he's still heel at the end. But I think he's
could you imagine?
Oh, it'd be crazy.
What a way to send John Cena off into the sunset.
Oh, I can see him still being heel by July, whatever Money in the Bank is.
There's no way there's going to be like a 3-month turnaround on this.
No.
Especially after dethroning Cody.
Book it in. Cena, Punk, Money in the Bank.
One last thing on John Cena before we move on so we can touch on the wealth of other things that have happened in the wrestling world this week. Some keen eyes have noticed a little detail on John Cena's hat. The C is no longer behind the big red... What is it even called?
Like the censoring thing.
Censoring thing.
The right to censor?
Yeah, the right to censor.
Yeah.
The C is now in front of it, which means that we can see John Cena.
That's a great little touch.
But I'm just wondering if it's a printing error on the hat.
It is a great little touch.
There's so many layers to the story.
WWE does not make these mistakes. We saw it with, like I said before, with Punk walking past, it was real glass. Like everything they do is for a reason.
Means something.
Absolutely. Easter eggs for days.
Moving on, let's continue on Monday Night Raw. A little bit of controversy on Monday
it's our
Night
boy.
Raw.
Do I have... Maybe this is... It's not really that close.
It's a monkey mask.
Maybe we shouldn't use this one then, but...
Touchy subject.
Anyway, yep. What are we talking about?
El Grande Americano has made his Monday Night Raw debut in a successful way. He received his first victory in WWE against Dragon Lee after demasking him. Very controversial finish to that match, but that's not the controversy we're here to talk about.
Part of it.
The highlight reel of El Grande Americano was made with artificial intelligence.
Yep.
Oh, look, like
There's lots of things.
lots of different layers to the use of AI in generating artwork. And I do understand most of it. But for situations like this, which we discussed offline, where you're trying to build a fake history about a character.
Sorry, fake history.
Sorry, wrong word. When you're trying to
chronicle the history of an incredible character in the luchador world.
the Gulf of America's hero.
That's a touching line. But okay. Maybe we didn't need to say that one.
That also got a little bit of controversy on Raw this week. But when you're trying to build that history and showcase how much of a talent El Grande Americano is, you've got to be able to use some sort of like video editing techniques.
Yeah, just make sure that when the hands are all trying to reach out to high
Five hands.
5 fingers.
5 fingers on one hand.
I don't care about the AI stuff, man. Like, to me, that is the least of the problems of this whole segment.
Yeah, I think trying to come from the perspective of an artist, which I'm not because I'm shit at artwork, the whole reason why it rubs people the wrong way is because for AI to make those images in those movies, they steal artwork from the internet that is already out there. So it's essentially taking someone's artwork, which they should be commissioned for technically, tweaking that and altering it and presenting it as something that it's not. And that's why it gets so much controversy around the use.
I don't want to get into the
like Ark, one of the like big PlayStation or just gaming in general, because I'm pretty sure it's on multiple platforms.
Sure.
That they just released a new trailer for a new game that they're releasing, and 90% of that was made with AI, and people are calling it out. Like, you're a multi-million-dollar gaming company. You can't afford to just make the trailer yourself. Like, you're just going to use artificial intelligence to generate random clips of things.
Yeah, and I get that, but it is a steep slope for us to go into that kind of conversation.
Absolutely.
Philosophical world, we don't really want to touch on that.
No, we're not artists.
But I mean, I also get why you would do it, because between last week and now, or between when you started this storyline and now, how are you going to have 5 minutes of footage of fake wrestling matches of El Grande Americano to put on a video package? You can't go and film it.
No,
right? You can't go, and if you took the proposed person, that it's not confirmed, but it is believed to be Chad Gable, which no one has said that it actually is.
Just two very similar
body shapes. But if you were to take, let's say, a Chad Gable into Mexico and got him to go around luchador crowds and stuff, pretending to be a luchador and film that, I think that would mean the luchador people they wouldn't want to do that. That's making them fun of their joke. And, luchador wrestling is almost a religion in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's so highly thought of down there. There is this current feel of, is WWE taking the piss? Is this joke a bit too far?
I think when they brought in the whole Gulf of America thing, that was probably across the line, because there's a lot of political negativity around that going on at the moment.
Gracias. I think this to me is a very Vince McMahon joke type feud. Like, that's actually a really good point. This is a very Vince thing where he would find this hilarious. I don't mind it. I think it's funny, and I think that it's kind of something that you have to have a bit of lighthearted stuff in your wrestling, because every other feud and every other storyline right now is so entrenched in realism and hatred and like really high drama. Let us have a bit of fun. And the match, brilliant.
It was actually a really good
match. El Grande Americano, fantastic match. I think there should have been more noise made about him taking his mask off, because Pat and Cole didn't really.
They didn't sell it enough.
No, they need to really sell the fact
that you got demasked in a WWE ring for the first time, and you're just going to like casually palm it off.
Yeah,
like that's
because I remember
that's their whole identity as lucha libres. Like, like it brings great shame to lucha libre and their families when they get demasked, and usually when they have that happen in Mexico, that's it. That's you're done. You can't put that mask back on.
Correct. And like I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Dragon Lee last year around WrestleMania time where he switched masks with a kid in the front row, and I remember he had to like fully go underneath and hide his thing and then switch the mask.
I've seen Penta do like he's had a mask on and then he's put a new one on that someone's gifted him, and the way that he does it is like it's smooth. He just like gets the mask and he's just like And then it's just done. It's the transfer is complete.
Yeah.
And it's just smooth as shit.
But yeah, I think a lot of the internet rage about this Mexican appropriation of the luchador culture is probably a bit too far. I don't think they're doing it deliberately. If they were making a bad joke out of it and going to make fun of luchadors, Rey Mysterio would have nothing to do with his storyline.
Yeah.
If you've got Rey and Dragon Lee comfortably doing these matches with Chad, it's for a story. It will get to the point where something happens, and I think we'll all be fine with it. The AI stuff, yep, no, understood, but
That's a fair complaint.
against a wall, I mean, what else are they going to do, really?
Multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, you probably could have got around it.
Because, like, when you see, like, Hollywood movies and stuff, they'll take, whether it's, like, a picture that they've staged and then edited the faces on of the movie characters to make it look like their younger selves. Do something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the thing about AI images and videos and stuff. They're really easy to pick out, and they just give that, like, uncanny valley type.
Oh, it was
feeling.
very, very obviously AI.
Yeah, like, you look at it, and it's just, there's something about the way that AI presents its images and videos where you're just like, looks real, but it's not.
But yeah, if wrestling fans are going to get mad at Chad Gable for appropriation of the luchador culture, and any of us watch Ring of Honor and El Generico, shut up. Sorry, we've done this before. It's a bit, it's a character. Let them tell the story.
Yeah. Let's move on to touch on some other stuff from Monday Night Raw. Quickly, Logan and AJ confirmed face-to-face for Monday Night Raw.
I don't know if I'm going to care about this build, but the match will be fun.
It's a very short build. They've not had a lot of interaction. They've not had any face-to-face. So this Raw could do them well to build that WrestleMania match, which has been theorized for a few weeks now, but nothing concrete or confirmed. So it's going to be good to see what comes of that.
I think the spot, we've talked about this before, but like obviously where he calls him with his soccer mum haircut is funny. But the spot from Logan and Ricochet 2 years ago in the Royal Rumble, right? Yep. Rope to rope in the middle. The spot on this is Logan with a buckshot, AJ with the phenomenal forearm, bang in the middle. That's your spot.
Amazing.
And that's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're going to do it for sure.
That's so good. That sounds so good. Let's talk about the Usos. Now, we got baited.
Well, some of us never thought this was going to happen.
Yeah, some of us kind of maybe clued onto it, but also we're holding out our hope. It was in Glasgow. We were hoping it was going to be Joe Hendry and Jey Uso.
It's never going to be Joe.
Never going to be Joe Hendry. It was Jimmy Uso.
The best part to this, and I will give them all credit, right? As soon as Jay starts coming out,
he stops.
But Jimmy just runs out with him.
Yep.
And he's just behind him. Like, oh, it's the Usos. Sweet. Because if you get Jay to the ring and there is even that 5 seconds of, who's it going to be?
Yeah.
And then wait for the music and it's not Joe
they
Hendry.
Completely cut that out.
Jimmy gets booed. Jimmy gets booed out of the building if he is not Joe Hendry.
Yeah. Great job averting that. Like, very well done. They did secure the victory, right? I can't even remember.
Over 18 down under.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. And then Gunther
came out they did. Yeah. Gunther came out. Jey Uso slipped, so they're making that.
It's now part of the storyline.
Yeah, he botched his dive the other week, and then now he slipped. Everyone's like, "Oh, was that intentional, or was that like an actual slip?"
No, he definitely intentionally slipped.
There's no way that they would have just had that happen weeks back to back.
But I think maybe the botch, the top dollaring of himself, was real. And now they're seeding that into, hey, well, maybe now Jay...
He's got his doubts and it's affecting his performance.
He's got the yips. He can't beat Gunther.
Yips.
He can't perform. He's making mistakes.
Yip. Sesame Street reference, anyone?
Yeah, that's a great one. But yeah, I think they're now putting that into his character, right? And that's exactly what Jimmy called out on the steps. So they had a backstage promo, which was fantastic, where Jay was just like, whatever, and Jimmy was like, you can't beat Gunther.
Jay.
You can't beat
we need right-hand man Jimmy.
We need Jay. We need main event Jey Uso. We need the main event who won the Royal Rumble. Yeah. That Jay can beat Gunther, not this guy. And I think that was the kind of the spark that he needs. And then
Jimmy with the not gonna live over.
But what got me right? They're on a set of stairs. So you watch Raw. They're sitting on stairs in a corridor, and Jimmy is talking to Jay, who's right here, and he kind of looks away, and you assume, oh, he's seen Gunther walk past, but then so is Jay. And they just both sort of sit there, and Jay just doesn't do anything. And then Jimmy just walks back and around the corner and is like, hey! And where was Gunther going? This was peak SmackDown versus Raw 2013, where you walk around backstage for you have to press
You
X.
just walk around backstage in circles.
And you press X to talk to somebody. That's exactly what this felt like. This felt like a cutscene from a video game where Jimmy was just walking around and was like, oh, there's Gunther. X. Awkwardly situated, but brilliantly done.
That slap. Amazing.
And the way Gunther just
Jimmy's going to get absolutely flattened on Raw.
Jimmy's chest is... I mean, I know he normally wears his vest and stuff.
I reckon Gunther's ripping that off and he's taking him to Chop Town.
Oh, he's going to destroy his chest.
Taking him to Chop Town, buddy.
But that was... This is kind of what we said this feud needed, right? We're bored shitless of Jay winning or doing something, Gunther attacking him from behind. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
We didn't want...
We need this passion and the emotional investment.
Yeah, but we also didn't want Alpha Academy and A-Town Down Under as being the key parts of this feud. No one cared. Jimmy Uso, though, his brother, all right. Now I'm
on board.
Now you get Ludwig Kaiser or something in there as well. All right, let's fire this up.
Moving on to the ending of Monday Night Raw before we move on to NXT. It's looking like WrestleMania will potentially have a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental Championship, as Judgment Day cost Penta the Intercontinental Championship against Braun Breaker in the main event. Potentially trying to get Penta on their side, but he wouldn't have any of it. He throws the steel chair that Dom has given him back at Dom, gives him the spinning enziguri.
The heel kick, yeah.
Yeah, what is it called? What does RVD call it? That's his move.
It's the heel kick.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a spinning heel kick, but maybe there's a name to it.
And there's still that dissension between Dom and Finn. And there was a point in Raw the previous week where Dom picked up the Intercontinental Championship. And I thought to myself, I was like, hey, it kind of looks right.
Dom's winning this.
Dom's winning the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania.
And he's kicking Finn out of the group. And I don't know if he brings somebody in, but I think Dom is your IC champion. I think that allows Finn and Braun to go away and hopefully go towards that world title, because I don't think you're going to get Gunther.
Finn's the best, man.
Gunther and Jay
no one can
straight back
touch
to
him
it.
in that ring.
He's untouchable, mate.
You realise in the past 2 years he's had like 3 singles wins?
Yeah, but he's untouchable. He's still this main event of Raw, Finn Balor. You want a very good 4-star match to close out Raw any week?
Oh, how
Finn
the mighty
Balor.
have fallen, though. First ever Universal Champion. Shut up about how long he had that belt for. That man has the real story.
I think he'll get his chance.
He needs to finish that story, man.
This Fatal 4-Way I think will be fun. I mean, I clearly can tell that WWE is just trying to jam as many people on this WrestleMania card as possible.
What are they doing with the tag title scenes?
Oh, I think this.
I mean, with the Raw one, it's just...
New Day. New Day came out and said they want the tag titles of
Good
WrestleMania.
on them. What about everyone else on that roster?
Like who?
American Alpha.
American Alpha.
Couldn't even
A-Town Down
complete
Under
that sentence.
without giggling. Like, Otis.
Otis and Tozawa going for the tag titles.
Yeah, no, thank you. Look, Raw was fun. I think that IC title match will be great at Mania. I kind of want Sheamus to come back into it as well, but maybe he doesn't get his moment at Mania. But he's getting that IC title this year. Sure.
He's got to get that Grand Slam championship.
Yep, absolutely does.
Let's move on to NXT quickly. And I want to put a real shining light on the women's division for the NXT roster at the moment. We had Stephanie Vaquer, our first ever double champion.
I'm sorry?
First ever
sorry?
double champion in NXT.
Mandy Rose enters the chat.
Mandy Rose can kindly sit the fuck down because she unified championships. She did not hold 2 separate championships in a defending manner.
If Editor Luke could put a picture in.
Oh, look, if you hold 2 belts up, that's fine. You unified the titles, which then became one championship.
But she was double champ. She had
you
two
held
title
2
belts.
belts up for all of several minutes at the end of a show. Does not make you double champ. You unified titles.
First double champ in NXT, Mandy Rose.
Unified championships.
Mandy Rose.
No, I like Mandy Rose for obvious reasons.
For her OnlyFans.
I do not sub. There's one promise I made to my wife that I will be keeping. I do not sub to OnlyFans.
You only sub to your wife. That's very nice of you.
Mate, I fucking want to share.
But It's Mandy Rose.
It's
Mandy
not.
Rose is the
It's
first one.
not though. She unified titles. It does not count. She did not hold two separate championships
This is
at the same time.
This is a disgrace to Mandy Rose.
Unification matches do not count.
You go out
because
and
technically Bron Breakker would have been the second ever double champion in NXT, but they do not credit him for that because he unified the NXT and NXT UK championships,
that's all
which is the same thing that Mandy Rose did.
Yeah, but just because you get kicked out of the company for selling feet pictures, nobody wants to put Mandy Rose.
She was in a hot tub with her titties out, mate.
Mandy Rose. Anyway, back to Stephanie McCurr.
Successfully
Yeah.
defended both of her championships on NXT. And that was something that we predicted in our previous episode would not happen.
She wouldn't do, yeah.
Because something would happen to Stephanie at the end of her NXT Women's Championship match,
First
which
one.
started the show against Jada Parker. We had interference. Stephanie would then get attacked by Fallon Henley, her competitor, later in the night, and the rest of
Fatal Attraction.
That's the one. Thank you. I was gonna
Watch the show.
I was thinking we've been talking about Mandy Rose so much. I was thinking Toxic Attraction. It's different.
But it's the same.
It's different, but we're the same. Yeah, so she got attacked, and then they did the whole backstage segment where she had ice on her ribs, and she's like, "No, I don't care what this guy says, the medic. I'm going to do the match. I promised to do the match. We're going to do it." And then Jordan Grace comes out to distract Fallon Henley, and Stephanie McCurr retains the Women's North American Championship as well.
So do you reckon Stephanie pulls double duty at Stand and Deliver?
No.
Or something happens between now and then?
I mentioned this the other week, and you shot my idea down as a shit idea. But the way that it's building, because Jordan Grace came out and distracted Jada Parker, which cost her the NXT Women's Championship.
Sure.
Jada Parker would then come out again later in the night. But we did have Stephanie and Jordan face it off. Mm-hmm. So my theory was that Dan kindly shot down as shit, was that it's 3 in the ring. It's one match. It's a triple threat with 2 falls, 1 for each championship. It's not a stupid idea.
I mean, it is, though.
It's different. It's something different, you know?
But
it doesn't have to be a 2 out of 3
But if
falls.
I'm Jordan Grace,
Yeah.
and I'm like destroying the crap out of, is it not Kalana Jordan? It's who's the other one?
Jada Parker.
Jada Parker with the big thick thighs.
You know what? You're going to go for both titles.
Just shut up for a second. But then that's the point of
Shut up.
splitting the titles for 2 different people because you don't want one person to have them all.
Yeah, but
So
you're
you
going to
want one person
attempt
have
to
them,
go for
just
both,
give them
but you're
both
going
to
to
Stephanie.
fail.
You're terrible.
You're terrible. Fuck you.
Real. But if that's the case, right, and you're destroying Jada Parker and you're beating her up, and then it's for the first fall is for the North American Women's title, and you just don't care. You
not
just keep
gonna-
beating
you're
her.
not-
I'm
no.
not pinning you.
You're
I'm
not
not
gonna,
doing it.
But you're not going to do that, though.
But
It's
then-
a championship,
but then
which
Stephanie
neither
goes-
of them currently have.
1, 2, 3, and Stephanie gets the pin, and you're like, fantastic. Then you just whack Stephanie in the back of the head, throw her out of the ring, lie on Jada Parker. 1, 2, 3, you're the world champion.
No, Dan.
As if you wouldn't do
That's
that.
not how they do that in the professional wrestling world, which is
Or-
why this could actually be an interesting match.
If that's the match you're going to have, here's the finish. And I booked the finish for you right now. Jada Parker and Jordan Grace are fighting because they don't have a championship and they really want one. And Jordan Grace picks her up and does the Jordan driver. What's it called?
I'm not responding.
The SpongeBob driver, we'll call it now, because the Patrick driver. And so she hits that. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Jordan Grace is your NXT North American Women's Champion. Whilst that's actually happening, Stephanie's on the top rope waiting. The second that thing's finished, swoop, boom, Stephanie lands on top. 1, 2, 3. She's the world champ. Done. Match is finished.
That's not a bad finish, though. If that match is 20 minutes of like absolute mayhem,
It's a dumb finish.
fuck you.
Do you know what's
It's
dumber than
your
that?
fucking idea.
2 people rolling up the same person, and we shat on that hardcore last week.
That's fuck. That's the only part that I regret. Them potentially doing that with this match stipulation.
Because then they're both the champion. And then maybe, but now that we're
Look,
both
it's
champion,
a-
let's just have a 1-on-1 match. Oh, really? A 1-on-1 match for the title? How good would that be? Can we start talking about NXT? Let's move on.
No, we still have to talk about the NXT women's division because,
We do? I thought we just were.
well, no, there's the other half of it with all the tag teams. So Tatum
Oh.
Paxley and Gigi Dolan beat Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson in a match. But there seems to be a lot of dissension, perhaps, in the NXT women's tag team division because they're all fighting, but they're fighting for nothing because the NXT, well, the WWE women's tag team championships, they don't come down to NXT. and Metaphor have failed several times to bring them back to NXT. And Ava, at one point, she was getting swarmed by all the different tag teams, and she's like, I've got an idea. And it was at that point I said to myself, they are bringing back the NXT Women's Tag Team titles.
We don't need more titles. We need less titles.
But they had them to begin with, and they never should have unified them. Do we call Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey double champs? No, because it was a unification match. End of discussion.
I think what we should do is have NXT win the tag titles back off the main card and get rid of the women's main tag team titles. I don't think there's enough women's tag... I mean, if your second or third best tag team in your division is Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, your division sucks and we don't want it. And I'm not saying that, the Secret Hervis and Liv and Raquel and Bianca and Jade, or Jade and Naomi, or Naomi and her hair, whatever we want to do is going to be the next people that are competing for it. But I just don't think on the main roster those women's tag titles work. I agree. NXT have that much of a division with that many women in it. Works down there. Don't have two sets of titles though. Just take them from the main area where it was great to elevate Bianca and Jade and their story and everything.
Yeah.
Put them back to NXT now.
All right.
You okay with that?
We can agree on.
Yeah, good. All right.
One last thing on NXT before we move on.
More NXT.
Well, do you want to talk about it? We kind of touched on it last week. Dark State keeps getting involved in this World Championship scene with Javon, Trick, and Oba.
Yep.
And we kind of floated the idea around there that Trick is actually the mastermind behind Dark State. And he's going to get involved in it.
I
like the sort of edgy side that he's been showing lately.
I feel contentious of you saying mastermind, though. Trick doesn't seem very bright.
It's a turn of phrase.
But, for someone to be behind this thing and, like Dark State and a different group of people and causing all this,
Have they directly taken, unless I'm mistaken, have they directly taken out Trick?
No, they have not. But I also don't feel like Trick's a very smart character, and he never has been.
He wouldn't be as conniving to try and plan that.
No, if this was Carmelo Hayes, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, different story. But that's what I'm trying to spin, is that this is a different Trick Williams than we know.
Yeah, but I think you need to do a bit of work on his character to make me believe that he could do it.
All right.
I agree with your storyline. I can see why you would pitch that. I also just don't like Trick. He's just a one-trick pony.
I don't mind this different side of Trick that we're seeing at the moment, but still it's just like normal Trick, but
angry and in sunglasses.
Cool. Moving on. Let's talk about AEW right now before we touch on the rest of SmackDown, because we did touch on a lot of SmackDown. Saraya has confirmed, we touched on it very briefly last week, that she was contemplating retirement because she wasn't happy with her booking in AEW. Paraphrasing slightly.
Yep.
She is now confirmed she has left AEW. It was a mutual decision. She appeared on Busted Open Radio with Bully, with Dave... No, Bully wasn't there. It's Dave LaGreca. It was Tommy Dreamer, I think.
And your mate.
And my mate,
Tom Pesto.
Bishop Dyer, which was great. It was great to see him. That's the main reason why I tuned into that little 30
because he's the new
clip.
signing for Sirius XM, or whatever it is, Busted Open.
Oh, well, that explains why he was on the episode.
Yeah, so he's one of the new people on there. So there's Bully, Thunder Rosa, Mark Henry, Tommy Dreamer, Ziggler, and now Baron Corbin.
That makes sense. Yeah, she has confirmed, and she said it was a mutual decision. So she doesn't quite know yet what she's going to be doing, but we theorized, well, I mainly theorized last week that we would see the return of Paige to WWE. Not Saraya. You'll never get Saraya in WWE.
That was a good joke of mine. Do you know what's another good joke? You know how she's writing her book? Shut up. She's writing her book, her autobiography. It's
complete.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm really disappointed that it's not called A Page Turner.
That's really cool.
It was right there.
It was right there.
Right there.
It was right there. Another one who's talking about AEW, but not in a positive light, RVD, has made some disparaging comments.
This has gone onto our Discord too, where there's a bit of chat in there.
About AEW being too hardcore.
Well, I think one of his quotes that he said was, the inmates are running the asylum and that's sometimes good for business. Which I think is probably, when AEW was stood up, right? It was the boys were running it.
Yeah.
And you could, and it was Cody, it was Kenny, it was the Bucks. They were making the decisions. They were telling the stories. They were like, "Can we do this? Let's do this," and it was great.
Yeah.
Whereas it seems like now,
Moxley's running the assignment.
but those same decisions aren't working, and they're not as good as they were when they first started. Maybe it's because the talent, like you said, that are making those choices aren't the brains of Cody and the Bucks and Kenny, whereas back then all the stories they were telling were great. The stories that the inmates and stuff are telling now don't make as much sense. And when you get to the point of having Spike in your back on TV, why? What for? What was the point of
you
doing
can go
that?
watch that clip or watch last week's episode. I'm done
You done talking
ranting
about
and
it?
raving about that.
It's
in the past.
The
It's moved
gripe
on.
behind that, obviously, is that RVD was a very big name and face of ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling. They did a lot of dumb shit.
They did.
A lot of dumb shit.
I feel like AEW has done some dumber shit.
I think but ECW, I mean, it's
For the time, it was.
That's
There's a
the
reason
thing
why they
too.
called it Extreme Championship Wrestling. Extreme Wrestling back then was what like normal DQ matches and stuff are today. Whereas now, Extreme Wrestling is
death matches.
death matches. You've got light tubes. You've got spikes in your back. You've got a syringe being brought in the ring and stabbed through someone's cheek.
You've got 3 levels of tables that you're falling off ladders and glass panes through
Yeah,
to smash
it's
to the
just
ground.
like mental. Like we didn't have that sort of extreme wrestling back in the day.
And I think the difference that you've got is when RVD was doing ECW in the 90s, like you said, that was, it was unprotected chair shots. It was barbed wire bats. It was dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was what was kind of expected of Extreme. And I don't think anyone knew any better.
Yeah.
Whereas now,
Because this was pre-explosion of CTE and the side effects
100%.
of that.
Whereas now, hey, we probably shouldn't do straight headshots because concussions are real bad.
Yeah.
So what you did in 1995 in the Hammerball Arena compared to what you do in 2025 is very different.
Yeah.
And comparing the two is hard to say. So when RVD says, "Look, man, like knowing what I know now and having 30 years of wrestling, would I take a suplex onto a nail bat? No, I wouldn't. That's fucking dumb." In 95, would I do a frog splash through a glass plane onto thumbtacks? Yeah, sure. 2 different people. And so comparing the two makes it really hard to understand. And with us not having the experience of being in both, whereas he's someone who's seen both sides of it. So giving RVD shit for having his opinion is probably a bit rough, and saying that, he was the face of Extreme, he should love all this stuff. He doesn't have to anymore.
No. And that's the thing. People grow older and their tolerances change as well.
Completely. And I think all of us have agreed that in general, that thing with Spike was a bit much.
It was, and I said, I believe it was on a TikTok or in the Discord, AEW need to find the line and not cross it. And that was the line.
I feel like they can find the line and stick your toes across it. Just see how you go. Moxley head dove way over that line. Like that was way too far.
Having the gut shot and the hit to the back with Spike, that's not really done. That's not been done. You can do that with barbed wire bat. It's a little different than having nails impale you.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 shots, that would have been fine. That line of getting suplexed onto it and having it stuck in his back and his skin ripping and tearing as people are trying to take it out, that's the line. That's way over the line.
Can I also just put that into context too? Because this is not
National television.
hating on AEW as well, but on their pay-per-view 2 weeks beforehand, Tony Storm and Mariah May, head to toe covered in blood.
Magic.
Thumbtacks. They did thumbtack spots. They had the glass that they wrapped around their hands and punched each other in the face with. They went through a table. They were bleeding everywhere. No one said that was horrible. No, everyone was like, that was brutal and it was amazing. That was what we wanted.
The Hollywood ending. Yep. And that's the ending that they deserve.
That
few
is
deserve that.
Towing the line. That was them going right up to it, being like, can we, right there.
What? Touching it and then
Moxley and Spike was just woo.
Yes, let's drive 1,000 kilometers per hour over the line.
Yes.
And try and break. Speaking of Mox, let's touch on his segment with Swerve.
From Dynamite. Yep.
Swerve, an absolute master on the microphone. John Moxley, as Jim Cornette would say, said a lot of nothing.
This was so fun. We watched this promo and Reece, we finished and Reece was like, that was a pretty good promo between those two. I really enjoyed that. And I was like, Reece,
I feel like
Reece, What did Moxley say? And he's like,
And I'm like,
well,
I was trying to think. I was like,
he said he'd like, like he's
yeah.
that Swerve, like he's proud of Swerve because he's taking it forward and he's looking forward to him.
He's like building the future of professional wrestling in John Moxley's eyes.
What did Moxley say though?
Something about kids and Instagram and.
But what did Moxley? What did he say? Case in point. I think this is a good feud. I'm glad that they're giving a bit of something to sink their teeth into, which they will literally do at Dynasty because I'm sure Moxley will bite Swerve's head off or something. But again, we've said this from the start, man. Like all of the Death Riders and stuff being involved and around, I don't really care for it. And I swear if Swerve does not win this.
I'm telling you now because I can't remember if I actually mentioned this on the podcast last week. Will Ospreay
will enter the
Owen Hart Cup, which gets himself a championship opportunity at All In Texas.
That is correct.
And he said post Revolution that he wants to be the man in AEW.
Yeah, so he wants to marry Seth Rollins and dye his hair orange and become the man.
But like, is there no better story for Will Ospreay than to win that tournament, get that championship opportunity, and then finally dethrone the tyrant John Moxley at All In Texas? I feel like that's the story. Like,
who won the Swerve and Ospreay match last year? Because wasn't that for the world title as well?
There was a Swerve and Ospreay match.
Don't remember it.
Wasn't there?
I don't remember it.
Oh, maybe it was Danielson. It was Danielson and Swerve.
And Danielson and Ospreay.
Yeah, okay. It was two different. It was Danielson. Right, okay.
Royal family.
It's all a big blur for me. There's so much wrestling.
There is so much wrestling.
Look, I think I agree that possibly is the big story, especially in London. I don't think you can drag Moxley along.
It's in Texas.
Oh, that's right. Forbidden Doors in London. Sorry. I still just don't think you can drag that along until Texas, man. It's too many more months to have your title hidden in a briefcase and Marina Shafir running around and people are like, oh, she could be the world champion. No, she sucks.
I saw some dude comment that on Facebook. Be like, the only thing that would make the Death Riders better was if Marina Shafir got a championship. And I was just like, that's the dumbest thing I've heard because Marina is trash.
She's not beating Tony. She's not beating Mercedes.
She's not beating Athena.
Is there a mid-card ROH title that she can win?
No, I don't think so.
Go give her something from like Stardom.
Just tell her to fuck off. Realistically, just tell her to fuck off. I don't like Marina.
Well, you've also got Rated FTR trying to cut a weird promo where they're all friends again now and they're going to take the trios titles.
I saw some interesting stuff because everyone's like, oh, here's the FTR heel turn. And then I saw someone comment on social media.
Yeah.
Nah, Edge is too smart. He's going to see that. And he's going to turn heel first. And then go join Christian. And then they can get the tag team championships.
Oh, man. I mean, we love to overlook
We're not
shit
bookies,
here,
but fuck, that's so dumb. That's such a dumb idea.
Yeah, no, thank you. I can see FTR turning on Edge.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
Dax, the one with hair.
No, Cash.
It's
Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood.
I can see him reluctantly turning to side with his friend.
Yes. Or
because Baldy's going to be the first one to turn.
Absolutely.
For sure.
They really, in this interview they had, when they said they're all really good friends and how Cash is stuck in between, it was very clear that he was between Cope and
yeah, and he looked uncomfortable.
Yep. They're going to tell that story. It's fine. Yeah. Do it.
MJF gave us, attempted to give us his decision about joining the Hurt Syndicate.
We hurt people.
Before he was so rudely interrupted by Mr. Hurt People himself, Bobby Lashley. It's a great testy pop.
Hurt people.
Lashley sticks out his hand.
Give me the card.
MJF's like, oh, let's go. No, give me the card. Rips it up in his face. And then MJF just leaves. So,
do you know what? I don't want to see MJF versus Bobby Lashley. But I do want to see MJF versus Shelton Benjamin.
Some good potential matches.
Is it weird that the guy who has been brought on as like the 2IC is the one that people want to see wrestle more than
they were chanting for Shelton over everyone in that segment.
Because he's great.
I will admit, it was a shame to see him go from WWE. But what he's done in AEW since he's left
for sure.
has been astronomically better than anything he did in WWE.
Yep, agree.
Let's move on to some news points before we touch on SmackDown. How are we going for time?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
TNA has filed some very high-profile individuals backstage.
Fired.
Yes.
It sounded like you said filed, and I was like,
Filed.
what do you mean? They released like 5 people.
Two of which, Ariel Schnerner, which,
Schnerner?
like, what a name. Gail Kim.
So there's a lot
Gail
of
Kim.
noise on the internet about this stuff, right? So Ariel was the one who took over head of creative when Scott D'Amore left. So he's been behind the scenes with a lot of the creative stuff. There's also a lot of talk that he was very helpful in the NXT&A stuff. Not that he did it, but that he was more than willing to help out and open the door and did some things. There's also some conflicting stories where a couple of times he's gone across to NXT and Shawn Michaels kind of had to put him in his place, being like, you're not saying the right things. And so he didn't have the best of, backstage presences, I guess, to some of the wrestlers. But in the business sense of things, he was running it quite well and was improving the partnerships that TNA had with WWE.
Yeah.
Gail Kim as well is probably one of the most loved and liked divas, women's wrestlers, knockouts ever, right? The fact that she's a 17-year career in TNA, the second that she was released, you had Jordan Grace, you had
Everyone
all
questioning,
these
like,
women's...
well, that was a great decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, so she's obviously very well liked backstage by the wrestlers, and that was always something that Sean Ross Sapp and stuff from Fightful had always said, that she had a really good aura behind the scenes and everyone loved her.
Yeah.
So why would they fire her? I think from what I'm hearing and reading and seeing through podcasts and stuff, it seems to be that maybe she got a little defensive on some creative decisions and didn't agree with the way that the company Anthem wanted to go, and thus she got removed. Which is pretty much the same story that happened to Scott D'Amore last year, right?
Right.
Scott got them back up, called them back TNA, everyone loved him, everyone's really happy, but then he
Boom, gone.
was just gone. So it seems to be business.
It's a really unfortunate decision that's something, like, being in the public service, like, we have our duties, like, we have to be impartial whenever politics are mentioned, whenever there's elections and all that sort of stuff. So I can see if you're, like, especially in America where things are a lot more, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Powder keg.
Let's reference it like that. It's more of a powder keg over in America, where if you say something that's against a business view, done, dust.
Yep.
So it's rather unfortunate that that's how it's all unfolded, but I'm sure Gail Kim's going to pop up somewhere soon.
Yeah, and I think she put her tweet out or whatever saying that she's not done with the wrestling industry. She still loves it. She still loves the people. But 17 years of TNA is a very long time. So I think she'd be great. To be fair, she'd be great for AEW. Not on screen.
I was literally thinking that. Because I feel like that AEW women's division is here.
Yep.
Some of the talent is here, some down here. Gail Kim could take that higher than it's ever been.
And I think that not having her as a TV character, at least to start, and having her in there, teaching the girls what to do, building, their personas and what they need to do in their promos, their ring style, the way they present themselves, and just improve that, because that is partially why a lot of us are a bit meh on the AEW women's stuff. Is that, Tony Storm, I love this time.
Thunder tits.
It's a bit weird, right? Thunder Rosa is really, really talented, but just never got over enough because there was just always something missing.
Yeah.
Deonna Purrazzo came over there, was the next big name in women's wrestling. Where's she gone? No one knows. Who's the smart one? Serena Deeb is over there. You've got, Megan Bain is now being pushed to the roof, and she's very, who cares?
It's going to come crashing down really quick.
But that's the thing, is that division has talented women. And it just needs to be, I think someone like Gail Kim needs to get involved to make it what it could be. Because Mercedes and what she's putting into her storyline and division is good, despite the fact that we're sick of her winning all the time, but that's just what Mercedes is. I'll have to say, what she's put everybody else through in that time has made them all look better.
Yeah.
So she's doing the right thing. Although it's not what we want, it is the right thing for that division. And I think Gail Kim can go in there and do that for the rest of the locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. touching on some rather unfortunate news, we currently have the World Series Wrestling Tour going on in Australia for the next couple of weeks. And we had...
I mean, 1 week. It's like one weekend.
Oh, yeah, it's just this weekend, isn't it?
Yep, just this weekend.
Anyway, Brian Cage has unfortunately injured his knee and has removed himself from the World Series Wrestling Tour, which was meant to be his last one.
His farewell tour. Yeah.
Meant to be his farewell tour because it's the 10th anniversary of... 10th? 20th?
I think it'd be almost 20th, right?
Yeah. It's been going on a long time. It's very unfortunate that he's had to pull out of this anniversary tour and his final ever tour of Australia. But we've had some big developments in the World Series wrestling scene. Both...
We have.
what's her name? Dana Brooke. Ash by Elegance. Has retained her WSW Women's Championship. And so has Nick Nemeth.
Yeah, but the Pariah dropped the tag titles.
Yes. The Bollywood Boys are your new World Series Wrestling Tag Team Champions.
For those that aren't familiar with the World Series of Wrestling tour, I guess, it starts Melbourne, then it does Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, I think.
Adelaide's first.
Oh, so it's Adelaide, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, whatever.
Yeah.
It's 4 shows, 4 nights in Australia. Generally speaking, what happens on the Friday is then reverted back by what happens on the Monday. So if, the Pariah lost the titles on the Friday and they weren't going to lose them all.
I don't think they're going to win those titles.
They might. They'll probably win them back on Sunday. But
nothing against the Pariah, but I feel like they've been dipping their toes into AEW and Ring of Honor and some other American promotions.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the beginning of them hitting another pinnacle and heading off into greener pastures.
Yeah, okay.
So I feel like maybe they might come back for World Series Wrestling at some point. I think the Bollywood Boys might have these titles for a little bit.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if Jinder Mahal gets a title on the tour every
Very
weekend.
interesting indeed. I hope someone hinders the Jinder.
The Jinder. The one thing that I saw on with all this Brian Cage news stuff was somebody had mentioned that he looked like Steve Blackman on roids.
Yeah.
And I hadn't put two and two together, but I was like, now that he's got the beard and the hair, I was like, oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see the Steve Blackman side of that.
Can't argue with that. Let's quickly touch on some other points from SmackDown and then we'll finish off on a high note.
Mackie D.
Jade came out to save B-Fab and Michin. Michin was about to have a match with Charlotte. Jade comes out to save them from an attack from Naomi, who had a magnificent promo. And I've said this for a while now. As soon as Naomi had that character change and stopped doing the glow shtick, it'd be better for everyone. And so far, these promos that she has delivered have been on par with some of the greatest work that she has done. Specifically saying, what did she say? I'm trying to make a point, but I can't remember what the point was. It's about the caution tape. Proceed with caution, that's right. Because the past couple of weeks, she's had that caution tape. She had it in the promo. She had it again on SmackDown.
Yep.
So Jade comes out to make the save from an assault by Naomi.
This was poor. I didn't like this at all.
It was because Naomi was attacking B-Fab on the announce table. Jade's music hit. Jade comes down and Naomi's just there still beating down B-Fab and then turns around and Jade's there, I got to run, and then runs, and then Jade just stops and doesn't continue to go after her. And then the way they were holding the camera on Jade as she was helping B-Fab down the back, I was waiting for Naomi to just come back and attack her. Didn't happen. But what we did get, planting seeds for the future, which they did a lot on SmackDown. Planting seeds for the future.
I forgot about this part. Yeah, okay. Yep.
Jade and Charlotte had a little bit of a stare down, a little bit of an exchange at the entranceway. And you said, I'm here for it.
I will watch that match.
Absolutely.
I don't care about it, but I'll watch it.
Don't care. Well,
look, my whole
that's
gripe,
how you feel about Mercedes, so that's unfair.
Mercedes. My whole gripe with this segment, like pretty much what you said, right, was that they shot it beforehand. Jade was like, I know Naomi's around. Where is she? And Aldous is like, no one's seen her all day. She's like, well, as soon as I see her, I'm going to get my hands on her. I'm sick of this. And so then she interferes in the match, and Jade waits 30, 40 seconds or whatever it is before her music hits.
And then takes 20 seconds to get down the ring.
The second Naomi showed up on that screen and was in the ring,
it should have hit.
Should have run out. And then, like you said, when she went to stop her, and then Naomi just casually jogged away, and Jade was like, I'll let you go. See you later. No, you just said that you wanted to get your hands on her, and I've been waiting all week to get my hands on her. Just 4 meters away. Go do it. No? Okay. Again, I get they're dragging on the storyline to WrestleMania. Storyline, sure, but just real life kayfabe, that just looked poor. It just really wasn't well done.
Yeah.
And then Charlotte with Michin was annoying because, Michin nearly beat Charlotte. She only just got her foot on the rope. But you're telling me that, Tiffany's going to struggle when she faces Charlotte because, Charlotte's the queen, but Michin nearly beat her?
Good storytelling, guys. Good work.
Yeah, not so.
See, we shit on WWE sometimes too. It's not just AEW.
Yes. What else can we crap on from this SmackDown? Because
Crap on.
LA Knight and Braun Strowman. Don't care.
We can crap on that, but we care about Jacob Fatu potentially getting that United States Championship.
Yes. I think that'll be a fatal 4-way again.
Yes. Fatal
More
4-way.
Male
mayhem. Male hem.
Male hem matches. Is that a match? Can we make it a match?
Male hem. Sounds kind of
like a Dominic on a pole match.
That sounds kind of fruity.
Yeah. Maybe
there's nothing
maybe
wrong with
this
that.
one. Oh, you know what? I've just booked it. Let's keep Jacob
Pole
Fatu.
upper wrestler match.
Let's keep Jacob Fatu out of the US title. LA Knight and Jimmy Uso can have that match. So Jimmy, we go back to that story of Jimmy and Jay, right? But that means then what do we do with Jacob Fatu? Well, it seems like they're doing that tension between Solo and Jacob Fatu of who's in control. Like, you stay out of my business.
Are they going to have a mud match?
No, they're going to have a Tama Tonga on a pole match, and the winner gets Tama Tonga. And the loser gets Tonga Loa because no one wants him.
He's out injured, bro.
Yeah, but he's going to come back by Mania, and he'll be like, I'm here. And I'll be like,
I had a pretty good quip because we had Drew McIntyre interrupt Randy and Cody to start the night, which led to a Randy versus Drew McIntyre match, which...
Stand up if you hate Tottenham. Stand up. Stand up. Great chanting, London. Love it.
Drew McIntyre won clean with the Claymore. There may have been a slight distraction from Kevin Owens, who appeared at ringside, but he never interfered in the match. Never put his arm through that ropes, no nothing.
And
he
I
just
love...
appeared and Randy got distracted because he's so blinded by his rage for WrestleMania.
And I love that what Drew said afterwards when he was talking to Kathy Kelly, that if there's no BS and no one interferes with his business, Drew wins.
He's the man. He's the man.
And that's why he's got so annoyed with, what did he say, Eyeliner and Timu Undertaker, Damian Priest.
Guyliner and Timu Undertaker.
Damian Priest getting involved in his business.
Lamian Priest, thank you.
Lamian Priest was your one.
Priest.
Yeah, you're proud of that one.
I'll take credit for that one. I mentioned planting seeds for the future with Jade and Charlotte.
Yes.
They did that with Cody, with Randy, and Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yes, for sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that eventuates because they don't just tease things like that for nothing.
Well, like I said, once, assumedly, Cody drops the title to Cena at Mania, Cody's got to do something else to get back there.
Yeah.
And I think that'll probably be through
McIntyre.
Drew. Because what was it, 2 years ago, he had to go through Brock Lesnar for 3-4 months.
Yeah.
I think it's the same story. He's got to go through Drew.
Yeah. Other news, the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships were defended successfully by the Street Profits.
No boys.
Pretty deadly. Were unfortunately not victorious in their hometown match for the championships.
Can't saw that coming.
To wrap it up, send out congratulations to Ricochet and Samantha Mann on tying the knot this weekend.
Samantha Mann.
Samantha Mann.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What's Ricochet's name?
I don't know.
What's his first name?
Isn't that like some stupid name? Like
Richard.
Robert?
Richard Mann.
Dick Man. Suck it, Ricochet.
It's great.
It's because he's bald. Yeah, no, look.
You are bald.
Good that he...
We fucking know he's always been bald, you idiots.
Yeah, congrats on a nice wedding. I saw some photos of it. Looked really good. I don't know if you really needed to cut that in your promo.
Cut a promo?
With Kenny
it's
Omega?
my wedding day. I'm in my wedding outfit.
On a Wednesday? Did you get... Ricochet, man. If
Midweek?
you get married
What are you
on a
doing,
Wednesday?
bro? What are you doing?
Like,
Literally.
surely they can afford
Maybe
a
they
good
booked
wedding.
this pre-AEW. Wouldn't that have been funny?
The only reason you book midweek weddings is because you're a cheap ass, right? It's because you know that like booking the venues and stuff during the week is cheaper.
That's why he's with AEW now. It all makes sense.
Oh, because I don't want to work weekends. So, yeah, it's just... I thought it was weird. I thought the
Why do we have to
promo...
finish this so shitting on AEW?
The promo segment with Speedball and Kenny was
It was
okay.
okay. It wasn't until that I realized that Speedball just sounds like a less husky version of Kenny Omega.
It really does.
I mean, they're both Canadian, so it's like kind of expected that they sound similar, but it's like their tones are very similar.
I was just weirded out saying Speedball with shoes.
Right? He owns shoes?
Yeah, I thought it was just
Amazing.
always barefoot.
Crazy. Gonna wrap it up there.
What do they call him? Lame Ball? Is that what he called him?
I don't remember that.
Ricochet called him like Lame Ball
lame.
and the former Best Bout Machine. And I was like, Ricochet, man, like you've got a fair while before you get to Kenny
a
Omega.
5-star match in AEW yet, Ricochet?
I think he has.
Fuck.
I'm pretty sure that triple threat with him, Takeshita, and Ospreay was a 5-star.
Yeah, all right. That's only because of Ospreay.
Oh, well, it's instantly plus 3 stars for anything Dave ever does. So.
Exactly. Thank you for tuning in. We have been Down Under the Mat. This has been Mr. Dan Danielson. I've been Roddy Reese. Don't forget to come like and subscribe on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Come join our Discord. Most importantly, subscribe on YouTube. Comment. Let us know your thoughts and feelings on all the topics that we have discussed. Is there anything you want us to talk about? Let us know and we will make an effort to put out a video about it or include it in our weekly programming.
Yep. And would you be interested in seeing a match between Lola Vice
And Ivy Nile.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Maybe?
The answer's no.
No, I don't think I would either.
Oh, you have 2 Ivy Niles.
What about you get another one?
That one's different.
You get one more.
Oh, we've got 3 Ivy Niles.
Got a lot of Ivies. Who have you got? Go, come on. Your match of pick anybody.
We do a male or female?
Doesn't matter. Just do it.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
I've got 4 Ivy Nile cards.
Okay, well, give me an Ivan Isle match then.
You ready?
Yeah, go.
Liv Morgan versus Gigi Dolan.
I would pay so much to see this
Liv
match.
Morgan and Gigi Dolan.
No. Give me your Gigi Dolan.
Gigi Dolan.
I want this match, right? Book this post WrestleMania because it needs to be in that big match. Gigi Dolan
Versus
Gunther.
It's time to slap her tits off.
Tony Storm would come to climax.
Ease up on the sexual innuendos, Tony.
Oh, innuendo.
They're funny, but like, if you do them less frequently, they'll be funnier. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you next time down under the mat. Too sweet, Denny boy. Woo!